The Reebok All Terrain Super 2.0. A shoe with more than a few issues. This is the Reebok All Terrain Super 2.0. This is the shoe that Reebok want you to wear when you go and do an obstacle course race. And they should know a lot about OCRs because they have the Spartan series of races. That's all Reebok's pitch at OCRs. Like they've got CrossFit, the Spartan series is very much their way into the OCR market, which is a booming market. OCRs are growing and growing massively every year. So they really should know all about what's going to be a good shoe for OCR racing. The key points on this are very much, I would say, the water drainage system here, and kudos to Reebok for realizing that it's all well and good covering a shoe with protection to make sure water doesn't get in. If you're doing an OCR, there's a good chance you're going to be wading through a lake or even swimming at some point, or certainly dunked in a load of water. So water is going to flood into the shoe whatever you do. So the best thing to do is get the water out quickly. That's nice because you don't want to go running along with a squelchy foot full of water. That's not so much fun. So they've come up with this sort of ports here to let the water out, even a little logo sign there to tell you that, and it's a couple more on that side as well. And it's at the forefoot, which is great because that's where you would think the water's going to sort of accumulate. So excellent, very aggressive outsole, very, very grippy, a 5mm heel to toe drop. Very much a lightweight racing shoe, not a whole lot of cushioning going on. It's very much a snug shoe to go racing in, or obviously obstacle course racing predominantly. I mean, you could use it for trails, but I think it's very much been designed with OCRs in mind. So let's get into what is great and what is not so great. So what's great? I personally think it's a good looking shoe. I like this colorway. I think it's very simple in its design and yeah, looks great. The water draining system that we've mentioned, it works really well. You know, I've been dunked in water with this shoe and swam in the thing, and I've come out of the water and the water's just come straight out. No squelching when you're running. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. The grip is very good. I've been going up muddy banks and sort of hills and all through all kinds of stuff. No slippage compared to other people I've seen slipping and sliding, and I've just gone straight past them. That's always nice when a shoe makes you feel good like that. I think when it gets overwhelmed with mud, then any shoe's going to get overwhelmed with mud realistically. So all good there. Yeah, that's about it for likes. Let's get on to, you know, things that are not so great, because the anal Christmas crackers and party hats. And there are a number of things to talk about on this shoe that are really not so great. For a start, the breakdown of the shoe. I've only done a handful of races in this shoe, and look, I've got a hole here. It's breaking down here. It's breaking down over here. So the build quality or the materials they've used are just poor, really poor. The fit. When you put this shoe on, there is a gap between the tongue here and basically this section here. So water and debris just get straight into the shoe. Well, water's fine because you expect that, but not all the debris and the muck and the rubbish and the grit. So it's all well and good this thing shedding water. That's all great, but it's not great if you've got loads of mud and grit and dirt and stones in the shoe, because it all just comes in here. This isn't gusseted at all. This tongue's completely loose, and to be frank, not big enough. And you kind of think, well, how can you get that so wrong, Reebok? You have your own race series. This is terrible. This is a very snug shoe as well. So if you're an elite athlete or you're someone who's super quick and wants a super light shoe that is super flexible, then that's great. But for normal people, you know, which I consider myself to be, this is too snug, too tight, and there's not enough support, and I would have liked a little bit more cushioning, but I realise that that really depends on what your bag is. But the fact that the fit is so poor, the quality is so poor, that so much junk and dirt and grit can get in this shoe, I mean, I'm so surprised. I would have expected Reebok with their own race series to think a bit more about that. It's like, oh, we've got this great outsole here. Well, yeah, well, what about the upper? Because you haven't built this very well. Even the laces, to be frank, are not long enough, and they're not stretchy or grippy. So you kind of think, well, are these just really cheap? Because they feel cheap, and I think they are cheap. So yeah, all in all, they're just poor. There are better shoes to go and spend your money on. I'm going to give it 2 stars, and I'm only giving it 2 stars out of 5 because it sheds water well. Really, if you didn't have that, it'd be like a 1-star shoe, maybe even a 0. Yeah. So yeah, don't buy this, buy something else. There are better shoes out there. And on that note, thanks for watching.